At its starting price of $400 US, the hardware in the Steam Deck is literally impossible.
This right here is the Valve Steam Deck.
Valve's new Steam Deck. It far exceeded my expectations.
You should buy a Steam Deck, and here's why. The number one reason I ended up buying one is for the portability, and that might sound a little bit silly. I didn't think I was going to need to be portable, or maybe I didn't think I was going to want to be portable that much, but it turns out being able to play on the couch sometimes, and then go play in the car, or go play in bed, or the best for me, being able to play in airports while you're waiting at the terminal or in the plane itself, it's seriously awesome. I don't think I can overstate just how cool it is to be able to take the games with you that you actually want to play. And we can't really talk about portability without bringing up Nintendo's Switch. That's a really good device, I'm not saying it's not, but the biggest problem with the Switch for me is that it doesn't have the games that I personally want to play. Let me give you some examples. Right now, the three biggest games that I play on my Steam Deck, the games that I spend the most time with, are Elden Ring, Black Ops 3, I like to play the zombies in that, and then I've just recently started playing Fallout 4, and I've been spending a lot of time in that. Those three games, which are all big AAA games, none of them are on the Switch. So if I had a Switch, I wouldn't be able to play those games. Now, this isn't to say that the Switch doesn't have good games. I think it totally does. It has a lot, and it has some really good games on there, like Zelda Breath of the Wild and other stuff like that. But it doesn't have anywhere near the catalog of games that the Steam Deck has available to it. And also, and I'm gonna say this quietly because I don't wanna get in trouble with Nintendo, but in a theoretical world, you could run Nintendo games on a Steam Deck. The Steam Deck can emulate just about everything. Now, I'm not gonna say how to do it or anything like that because I don't want Nintendo down my throat, but you can play basically any Nintendo game on your Steam Deck, and I would say only do it legally, only do legal emulation, of course. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to play a Nintendo game, you can play it on your Steam Deck, and there are a lot of good tutorials on YouTube for how to do that. But then you might be saying to yourself, okay, well, what about some other gaming PC handhelds like the GPD Win 4 or like the Aya Neo or something like that? And honestly, I think those devices are awesome. I was looking into them for a couple years before the Steam Deck came out because I wanted to get one, but I could never justify it to myself because they're really expensive. Generally speaking, you're going to spend about 2 times as much on something like the Aya Neo or the GPD Win 4. You're gonna be spending more like $1,000, whereas the Steam Deck starts at $400. So I really think the value proposition that Valve is offering with the Steam Deck is just something you can't really beat. It's not to say that Aya Neo and GPD, it's not to say those are bad devices. I think they're awesome devices, and I think they're better than the Steam Deck in a lot of ways from a hardware perspective. But you just can't ignore the price tag. A $400 entry price is really good. And then here's the other thing. So this is what I ended up doing, is I ended up buying the base model Steam Deck with 64 gigs. That's what this is right here. And if you're going to buy the base model like I did, you're going to need to get an SD card, but that's okay because they're really cheap. I got one that was a 0.5 terabyte SD card for about $50, and it's been working totally great. And then the other thing I did, after I'd owned the Steam Deck for a few months and I was like, wow, I'm really using this thing, I bought a new internal drive, which I bought a 0.5 terabyte one, and then I swapped that internal drive myself. And that's something where, you know, maybe a non-enthusiast wouldn't want to do something like that, but after doing it, it probably took maybe 10 or 15 minutes and it was really easy. So I could recommend that probably a lot of people could do that. Does that mean a lot of people would or would want to? No, probably not, but the skill level required to swap out the internal drive in this thing is low. I did it and I'm not that good at tinkering with stuff like that, and it was super easy. I mean, they clearly have designed it so that it's easy to take apart and it's easy to replace stuff. So with $100 in, 50 for the SD card and then 50 for the internal drive, I now have 1 terabyte of storage in this thing. So we're talking about, this is $500 now, as you could get it for a terabyte of storage, which I think is just fantastic value. And if you're saying, look, portability doesn't matter to me, I have a gaming PC or I have a console and I don't care, I totally understand that. That's exactly what I thought at the beginning, is I thought I wasn't going to be using this portably, at least not very much. I thought I'd just play it on my couch or in bed or something. But after having it, I actually think portability is really cool. But if you really didn't want to use it portably, you can get a little dongle, and then with an HDMI cable, you can plug this into your TV and then play games like that. And that's what I do actually a good amount of the time, is I just plug this in through a dongle to my TV, then I have an Xbox controller, and then I just play just like a regular console hooked up to my TV. The other thing I do regularly is I have a 32-inch 4K monitor, and that has USB Type-C power delivery and display. So with one cable, I can plug into my Steam Deck, and now I'm playing on a 32-inch monitor, and it's really cool to do. Again, I don't want to harp on this too much, but I didn't think portability would be that nice going into it, but now that I have portability on the Steam Deck, I don't ever want to give it up. Oh, and also on that note, if you already have a gaming PC, you can stream your games from your PC to your Steam Deck. And actually that gives you a lot of cool things, like being able to toggle on all your graphics settings. I mean, if your PC is strong enough or powerful enough. But the other thing is that makes the Steam Deck's battery life last like crazy. So then you get way better battery life. It's gonna run cooler. The fans are gonna hardly run at all. So that's a viable option if you already have a gaming PC. Oh, and another thing that I started to do because of its portability is I've been taking my Steam Deck over to my friends' houses like pretty regularly now. And I just bring the Steam Deck, I bring a dongle so that I can hook it up with an HDMI cord to their TV. And then I have a couple Xbox controllers, and then we go, like I've been bringing mine over, and then we go play Nazi Zombies. Even though my buddies don't have a console, then we can play split screen Nazi Zombies on their TV. And that's something where if I'd bought an Xbox or a PlayStation, yeah, of course, you can pick up the console and take it to a friend's house. And I know some people do that, but I've just never really done it because it's kind of inconvenient to unplug and take all the power cables and all that from your console. But with the Steam Deck, because it's so portable and so light, and it feels like it's kind of just meant to be taken around, you take it to your buddy's house, and there you go. You can be playing split screen games just like that. I think it's one of those things that's super underrated, where now you can go use this and play with your friends, and it's almost more social than it would have been on a console, if that makes any sense. Oh, and another thing, if you don't like the inputs, like using a controller for some games, like maybe a Civ game, or there's just some other simulator style of games, you can just Bluetooth the mouse and keyboard, and then all of a sudden you're using it like a gaming PC. Like I have my Bluetooth mouse, I have my Bluetooth keyboard right over here, and when I want to, I just connect them up to the Steam Deck, plug it into my external monitor, and all of a sudden it feels like you're on a gaming PC. Maybe the performance isn't as powerful, but generally speaking, it's good enough so that it doesn't really bother me. So the Steam Deck starting price is really budget friendly. It's really value friendly. $400 is a lot of money, but when you compare that to getting a gaming PC or getting a console, it's pretty similar. But then the other thing for me has been, when you have a console, if you want to play online for anything that's not a free online game, generally speaking, you have to buy a subscription service like Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, I think it's called now. And those cost money. You're paying a monthly subscription to play online, whereas on the Steam Deck, you don't have to pay a monthly subscription. So that's just another way that you save money. And then another thing, this has been one of the biggest things for me, is that when you're buying games for your Steam Deck, they are way cheaper to buy on Steam, or you can do like the Humble Bundle, or there are other places where you can get Steam game codes. And then the games are really cheap, whereas generally speaking, if you're buying games for consoles like the Xbox, PlayStation, or even the Nintendo Switch, your games are going to be a lot more expensive.
We just hope for magic.
They'll eventually line up.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, jump! Woo! Wow,
That was
I
great.
think there are a lot of reasons why the Steam Deck just poses an awesome amount of value, from its starting price to not having to pay for subscriptions, to being portable, to having the actual games be cheaper. But I think when you combine everything together into this package, which I also think just looks cool, you're knocking it out of the park with the value that they're giving consumers. And this is the other thing. The Steam Deck, in the about a year that it's been out, when it first started, I'm not gonna lie, the software experience was not that good. But over the past year, Valve has been coming out with regular updates that make significant differences with how you can use the Steam Deck. In fact, just a few weeks ago, they added an update that made the external monitor support for my monitor that I use way better. So now it just works a lot. It's less finicky. It just works better. And that's like a real value add where now it works better and Valve is constantly adding new features and adding new updates. And for example, here's another thing. Valve has done such a good job in supporting its community to allow them to tinker. Like, you can install plugins, and one that I just got recently, just in the last week, is called Vibrant Deck, I believe. And it turned the Steam Deck screen from looking just okay, I don't think it was that good, but it looks okay, to all of a sudden, just by bumping the saturation up, it made the screen look much better to my eye. Now, it doesn't look very color accurate, but it wasn't to begin with, but now it's just a lot more pleasing of a color profile. And that's an example where that's a free fix, a free tweak that anybody can do, but because Valve has supported their community, now the community can support the Steam Deck. And there are other plugins that I've added that have really helped the way I use the Steam Deck and allow it to be more fun for me to use. So long story short, if you want to play video games, the Steam Deck is by far my favorite way to play them. Maybe it's not the perfect thing for you, maybe it's not what you would prefer, but I bet if you give it a try, you'd be surprised with just how good it is. So yeah, I think if you're wanting to play video games and you don't have a Steam Deck, I really would recommend getting one. I don't think I can give a strong enough recommendation for this. It is just that good, at least for me. But if you own a Steam Deck, let me know what you think about it. And if you don't own a Steam Deck, let me know why you don't want one or why you haven't bought one yet. I'm curious to see what you guys say in the comments. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.